Hello and welcome to another interesting episode of The Magnate. As usual, on The Magnate, we'll bring to you eminent and interesting business personalities to share their experience with us. On previous episodes, we look into the broadcast industry, specifically local broadcast content, creating local broadcast content, advertising, and public relations. On today's episode, we'll be going into program dissemination and distribution. How do we distribute content? To share his experience with us, we have a guru in this house. Who is he? Let's find out. Patrick Akushie is a Pan-African media professional with deep knowledge of the broadcast, print, and digital media business in Africa. Currently with Agency France Presse (AFP), a global news agency as regional sales director. Previously served Africa's premier media content distributor as regional sales manager. Patrick has continued to partner with both local and international media content owners in the distribution and monetization of their contents. That was such an interesting citation. Thank you very much for joining us now in the studio. Is Mr. Patrick Akushie. Thank you for obliging our call, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Patrick Akushie, as you heard in the citation, is the regional and sales director of AFP. What does it entail, sir, being the sales director?
Okay, thank you very much, Ibrahim. First of all, AFP or Agence France Presse is a global news agency. Okay. Based in France, okay, but has offices in across all regions of the world, in about 190 countries of the world. Okay. So basically, AFP is into news production. Okay. So we service all kinds of media platforms, both the TV broadcast, print, online, and digital out of home. That's the public screens. Mm-hmm. And my role as the regional sales director is to oversee the business aspect. Yeah, most people, when they see me with a news agency, they think I'm a journalist.
No, so they're mostly about money making.
Yeah, exactly. What I foresee is the business aspect of sales in particular.
Oh, so I think this is where distribution comes in, where content distribution comes in, and monetization.
Exactly.
What exactly is content distribution?
Content distribution is the system of amplifying or exposing content to your target audience. You get. So there are various ways you can do that, but once you have your content ready, you must have before your content is ready, you must have a target audience you want to reach.
Yes, definitely.
Now, and you need to find a way to get it across to them for it to be exposed, for them to be able to see it and consume it. So that is where content distribution comes in.
How do you classify media content into audiovisual and visual?
Okay. Audio-visual.
Yes, audiovisual content.
Audiovisual content. Audio then has to do with sound.
Yeah.
That is with hearing. Mm-hmm. Visual
has to do with saying.
Yeah, it has to do with sight. That's saying. So audio-visual is any content that you can visualize and has sound. As you know, that there are various kinds of contents. Yeah. There can be text story. In fact, in AFP, we have various classes. We have still images, we have text stories, and we have video. So video is actually audio-visual, while still images, you can see it, but it has no sound.
No motion.
Text story, the sound. Yeah. So all motion pictures with sound are classified as
content.
Audio-visual content.
So how do we ascribe to content as premium content? This content is a premium content.
Yeah, that's a very funny one, you get, because from platforms to platforms, there is no hard and fast rule to what a premium content is. What M's Media regards as a premium content may not be a premium content to another platform.
Definitely.
Yeah. So for you, maybe you are in your own area of specialization. Maybe you are a news channel. A news channel may regard a magazine program, a lifestyle program, or a talk show program as a premium content. Meanwhile, an entertainment-focused channel would not even bother about that. Okay. Now, and even within this, a premium content must stand out.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, and it must stand out to the extent that you will now maybe begin to think of locking it. You don't make it free. Actually, premium content don't come for free. They come at a higher
Price.
price. So, and then the quality again. Then for those who produce a drama series, you know, right from the storyline, the packaging, the quality, and the budgeting,
Is for it.
comes at yeah. So now you don't make it free. So it has to be paid for, either on each platform, just like the pay TV. One of the leading pay TV platforms here in Nigeria. You find out that if you are subscribing to their premium bouquet, there are channels. Those very expensive channels that they pay top dollar to acquire. So they don't make it free. So they are premium channels.
Okay.
Now that comes equally to the content owners. So when you, as a content producer, at the time you are at the stage of ideation, when you are thinking, you have to decide, okay, this content, is it going to be a premium content? Is it going to be something I can put on across platform, make free for everybody to have access to? So there will now, it will now, the kind of budget or you will deploy to such production will determine.
So you've toured Africa and a lot of countries out of Africa. How do you think content producers need to look out for when creating content for a specific audience in terms of research and the likes?
Thank you very much. You just mentioned it, research. One, and this is at the center of content production, because if you want to target a particular audience, you need to know what they want.
Definitely.
You need to know what they watch. What kind of content resonates with this kind of people? So first, okay, I'm a content producer. I want to produce for the Nigerian market. Which segment of the population am I producing for? So what do they want to hear? Because you want to send out a content that people will see and they will connect with. So first, the interests, your kind of content, what is he addressing? What particular social or political issue in the society is it addressing? Okay, which segment is he addressing? Is it the youth, the old, or is it a kiddies show? You know, so these are things you need to look out for. Research, maybe from region to region, equally differs. Yeah, in West Africa, especially the Anglo-West Africa, we found out that comedies do it sells very, very well, you know, especially Nigerian comedy shows. Yeah, you see most other TV platforms across the West African region making more inquiry to acquire Nigerian comedy content. So the same is applicable to some of the Anglophone countries that are around Nigeria. You know, once you live here, you go to Benin Republic, Togo, and Ivory Coast, especially Ivory Coast.
Thank you very much, sir. But we're going on a quick break to show you the highlight of our recent webinar.
In a bid to continue the sensitization and advocacy, Ames Media Company Limited, a top-notch content production company, organized another webinar, the second in the series, tagged The Place of Local Content in Digital Switchover 2.0. The Zoom platform opened earlier to give room for participants to join while playing back some audio visuals, including the report of DSO 1.0. With the formal commencement of the advertised time of 10 a.m., afforded the convener, Aja Amina Muhammad, to acknowledge all invited guests, participants, and panelists as the moderator of the webinar by Dr. Olajobi.
My pleasure to welcome the barrage of people that are already here. We thank you very much.
Swiftly, the chairman, board of director of Ames Media, Dr. Ahmed Tunde Popola, gave his welcome address while formally declaring the webinar open. He particularly appreciated the presence of Director General of NBC, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, for making out time out of his very busy schedule.
Let me start on a note of recognition. Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, and our able guest speakers of today. I also want to recognize the CEO of Ames Media, Aja Muhammad. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this second webinar of Ames Media Limited.
Professor Armstrong Idachaba gave the keynote speech on the journey so far on the digital switchover. He enumerated some of the significant changes since the last webinar DSO 1.0. He maintained that there has been some level of credibility and transparency into digital switchover projects, having made some moves and licensing some diversified innovative content channels for onward endorsements by the president. This is part of the digital incentive in a few months when the rollout for DSO will commence.
We are very optimistic that between now and the next few months, or maybe 1 or 2 months, some of those backlog or debts will have been cleared or largely reduced, and that will, of course, remove some of the major incumbrances that we've been witnessing regarding the transition. Before the end of this quarter, we will commence the rollout in the 3 major cities that we had announced earlier, which is Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, and then to some extent also Gombe.
It was time for the guest speaker, Mr. Lukman Sanusi, mediapreneur based in the United Kingdom, made his presentation on the place of local content in digital switchover.
It is not easy for any country in the world to switch from analog to digital broadcasting, and no two experience is the same all over the world. America has had their problem, even the whole of Europe have had their problem. They've missed out on their dates, several times before they get it right. So what's happening in Nigeria is not, a peculiarity. The media is a monster that must be fed. Once you establish a TV station or whatever, you must feed it.
This gave room to the panelists to make their presentation. First was Mr. Yinka Adebayo, Executive Director, Media Reach, OMD, gave his presentation on what attract advertisers to local content.
When you talk of the advertising world, really, it's rests on a tripod. That is, you have the clients, you have the agency, you have the media. And be that as it may, what are these three people looking for? When you talk of the client, they are looking for value. I know clients, let's say, for instance, they're into production. I know that's the best they want to do. They probably would never come up with the idea of saying, hey, I want to own media. So they will rely on the media to operate. For the agencies too, having won their account, you don't win an account and have it on paper. You must be seen to be constantly delivering value, both to the client and I dare say even to the media owners, because that is the way they can begin to see your relevance in the industry. And as a matter of fact, for the agency, they are even in a precarious position because you're in the middle of the tripod. You have the client that you owe your obligation to. You have the media to ensure their survival because their debt is invariably your own debt too.
The head of Jais Bank MSME Aggregation and Cluster Units, Mr. Aliu Buhari, gave his presentation in funding the creative industry and media content.
From the switch over to the setting up of the setups or companies and also the content as well. Of course, financing is key towards achieving or making a success. I will quickly give also a rundown as to the CI, that's the Creative Industry Financing Initiative, so that we have a glimpse or some ideas of what is there for us as practitioners in the creative industry. Basically, the objective of the CIFI is to improve access to low-cost and sustainable financing by entrepreneurs and investors in the Nigerian creative and information technology subsector. 2, boost job creation, particularly among youth. 3, harness the entrepreneurial potentials of youth within the country, within the Nigerian creative and information technology subsectors for economic development. 4, complement other development finance initiative of the CBN to accelerate financial inclusion.
Mr. Patrick Akushie, the final of the panelists, gave his presentation on various channels of distributing the local content. He further talked about the challenges content producers face in the local markets.
Content distribution has changed dramatically over the past year with virtual sales platforms and online markets, transforming the traditional ways of doing business around the world. All of us are witnesses to what happened the previous year with the pandemic. All of us, we are all locked down in our houses. And for a business or an industry that exists largely on contact and relationship, TV distribution has faced a very challenging year adjusting to the new normal, whereby we now do virtual interactions
The interactive program elicited questions, comments, and suggestions by the guest speaker, panelists, and participants. The co-host and also the CEO of Neuron, Mr. Fatai Olajobi, delivered a vote of thanks.
I want to thank everybody that has been around from the beginning till now. And we're telling you that hopefully you're going to have another webinar soon to inspire us to make media what it should be. Thank you again for coming.
The moderator, Aja Amina Muhammad, rounded off the webinar meeting. The 3.0 will be focused on the technical aspect of digital switchover in the second quarter of 2021.
If you're just joining us, this is still the Magnate, and with me here in the studio is still Mr. Patrick Akushie, the Regional Sales Director of AFP. Before we went on that break, we were talking about content distribution and what it takes, what it entails. So, Mr. Patrick Akushie, a lot of media, independent production companies, they have issues when it comes to remuneration and getting monetization of their content, especially when they give out these programs or this content, the television stations. How do you think this issue can be resolved?
Everything boils down to the regulatory system in the country and the ability of in Nigeria we call it MCON, right? That's the professional bodies.
Yes,
to be able to come together to regulate their activities, because nobody actually can do it for them. Although there are regulatory policies, but how many of them are actually exploiting that? A situation whereby you produce your content, you finance it by yourself, and when the content is ready, you have to go out there to source for airtime in some cases, and the kind of, sorry to say this, arrogance displayed by the platform owners. Yeah. So now I think the professional bodies need to come together to be able to harmonize their actions, because there are actually some of them who sabotage the effort of others. Yeah. So the system has to be able to take care of the big ones and the small ones. Now, with the TV stations, what I've found out is that most of the content owners, when they have a license relationship with the TV content, sometimes there are no contracts.
That was drawn at the beginning.
Yes, at the beginning. And even where there are contracts, it's just 1 or 2 pages that focuses on the specific conditions, that talks about duration, price to pay, the number of the content. That's specific. But the general conditions that specifies penalties in case of defaulting by the channels, they pay lip service to it. For them, they are actually after the money. Sometimes you don't blame them, because these guys have deployed enormous resources. They just want to recoup their money. But what they fail to realize is that this content, these are lifetime investments. These are copyright properties that you can deploy over time. It lasts forever. It lasts for a lifetime. So you need to actually protect yourself by drafting. Sometimes, even with those who have contract and they see it being violated, they do not pursue it. Go to the extent of even threatening a litigation. Yeah, because no TV channel will want their news to be out there that they stole a content or violated a copyright infringement.
Talking about copyright, what do you think is the difference between content purchase and content lease? When you're leasing out content and when you're purchasing
for me,
content.
saying content purchase, I think that's a very strange word for me.
Content buying, okay.
Content buying. You don't buy content. You buy the rights.
Oh, yeah, to the content.
Yes, you buy the right. Okay, you can only own a content. If you are a TV station, you can only own a content, but when you commission it, and that is where partnership comes in there. You need to partner with an independent producer. You can actually commission them to produce. Now, depending on, there can be various conditions to that, or various situations. They can produce for you outright, you own it. They can produce for you, give you the right to air on your channel free, or maybe you retain certain rights. They may now take the international rights. They may give you local rights, or you on international rights.
Right.
So depending on what they are bringing, you know. So for me, there is nothing like buying content. You don't buy content, but you buy the rights.
Right to the content.
Yeah. And that is licensing.
No.
So I give you the license to use my content for so and so period
of
for
time.
so and so number of expositions, for so and so amount of money. When you lease, it's just like, okay, now that leasing comes actually when it comes to property. Actually, content is actually is a property. You know? Now, longer period of time, when you license your content for about a longer period, say 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it becomes leasing. Yeah.
Oh.
But for short period, you just acquire maybe 6 months, 2 years. Highest if it is a long running series or drama series or content, any kind of content, maybe it's up to
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, no, up to 50 to 100 episodes.
Oh.
Maybe you can do it 2 years. Yes. Yeah. But for 5 years, that kind of long-term leasing is for a content aggregator, or what we call a content distributor in a very narrow sense, who wants to now help the content owner to resell the content. You might have a 5-year contract, a 10-year contract, renewable when it's it's expired. Yeah,
definitely. That's what was well explained. In a lot of media production companies, especially broadcast media, think we have the opinion that digitalization has affected their business, because a lot of programs now show on air, on the internet rather. You have people going on the internet to watch match, you have people going on the internet to watch movies, instead of ascribing to, or instead of going on the normal traditional media outlets like as TV and radio. How do you think digitalization has affected content distribution?
I don't think it has affected you negatively. I think it's a positive one.
Definitely, it's
so it's just okay. Digital space is like, or digital evolution is like a moving train. You either jump in and follow, or you'll be left behind.
Definitely.
So what content owners need to do is to tap into this new opportunity that has opened itself. And what's the greatest positivity they've gotten there is that the digital space has given a kind of democratized the content distribution business in such a way that it has put power in the hands of the content owner.
Oh.
Yes. You can actually be before I used to tell content producers, you need to focus on production. Leave distribution to those who are well conversant with the business. Or if you want to be a distributor yourself, create a different department. Do your production, but have a full business, because content distribution is a full business on its own. If you check the big production houses outside this country, the Disney World and even Viacom, you see that they have their production department, and they have a distribution arm. Different have their own CEO that run the business very well. Now, coming to digital, a lot of digital platforms have emerged that content owners can latch on to push out their content. Yeah, do it personally, since locally we don't really, the market doesn't encourage the content producers. You know, so now the leverage that the digital space has given to you is that you can sit in your office locally here and take your content across the world, make it seen across the world. Yeah. So for me, it's a positive one, and our local producers actually have to stand up to it and embrace it wholeheartedly.
Talking about coming together, what do you think about content hub or content market? Especially when it comes to Africa, I realize we don't really have such in Nigeria here, where we have a place where we market, where we sell and exchange content, especially with foreign audience or international audience.
That's a huge shame for Africa and for us, especially in Nigeria. Because in sub-Saharan Africa, if you talk of South Africa, I think Nigeria ranks second in the quality of content. So in 2013, when I attended a TV market, I realized that there's a huge hunger and a huge thirst for African content from the outside world. Then I was representing the #1 TV content distributor in Africa. So after that, we had to do a review session from what we got from the market. I advised them that we need to invest heavily on
In
local African
content.
content. So after that, we witnessed a lot of partnerships with that distributor and a lot of local Nigerian producers. And it has continued from, after that up to now. Now, coming to your question, you asked about whether it is proper that we have a content market hub. I think it is already late.
How to do that?
Yeah, it's already late, but it is the time. It's now. In fact, it's yesterday. We should have started since yesterday, but the time is. Whether it is right or wrong,
we have to.
Yeah, we have to. It's a necessity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of. If I tell you the huge content, unrecorded content that emanates from this market, you will marvel.
Wow.
A lot of them don't know. After production, they don't know what to do with their content. They keep it. Some of them just keep it in their files, and the thing will get rusted there. So it is pertinent that we begin to think along that line. We tried to encourage the global content market organizers to bring it to Nigeria, but unfortunately, they've not seen enough.
I think it's just more about enthusiasm because they've not seen or they're not being ready for it. So maybe they are seeing, they're not just feeling it.
I think the problem has to do with the negative global image that Nigeria outside, But good enough, anybody who comes in doesn't want to leave out.
Definitely.
If they don't recognize us, we need to recognize ourselves. Yeah, and I think we can do it.
We definitely will. Thank you very much for your time here in the studio. It's been an enlightening experience for me and people who have been watching. I'm very sure they've learned one or few things, especially when it comes to content.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So join me next week with Mr. Patrick Akushie as we continue on the topic content distribution. Do not forget that this my lovely outfit was made by Adele Fashion Inspire. Follow him on his IG page at Adele Fashion Inspire on Instagram. And follow us on all our social media handles at the Magnate TV on Instagram and Facebook. Till we meet next week, stay safe and do have a great week.